Hi friend, how are you? Happy Monday. We are getting attacked by a cat. Just sat at my desk getting some work done. I've been logged in for a while now. It's 6:30 in the morning. If you don't know, I typically wake up at like 5 in the morning and get logged in pretty soon after that, just so that I can knock out as much work as I possibly can before my son wakes up. This morning, obviously, I at least washed my hair. Today is gonna look a little bit different because my car broke down this weekend, which was very unfortunate. But I will say, in all of the circumstances in which a car could break down, it was the most ideal situation because it is very rare that I don't have my son with me. It's also very rare that I'm close to home because we don't live like close to much. And it's also very rare that my husband is home. And all three of those things just serendipitously aligned. And so I was really only like 5 minutes from home. I actually pulled over because I thought my tire was coming off. And so I like pulled over into a fire station, which again, ideal, right? And I go walk around the car and I'm like, my tires seem fine, but I smelled something and I was like, well, it's not good. Something doesn't seem right. So I called my husband, he came and like did an initial scan of the vehicle and he's like, oh, it sounds like this, you know, we should be fine to get home. So he was following me home. Again, maybe we're like 10 minutes from our house. I had to pull over again because my check engine light came on and popped up with this alert that was like slow down or shift up. And I'm like, I don't know why you would be telling me to do that, but okay. And again, I could still smell something. And I'm like, I don't know that I'm gonna make it all the way home. And in my mind, I'm thinking the car is still moving, which tells me this could potentially be fixable. If I drive it to the point that the vehicle is no longer moving, that's a bigger problem. But we did manage to get the car home, which was great. And my husband's super car savvy. So we identified the issue. We could have just gotten the parts this weekend and fixed it this weekend. But tell me how this makes sense. The parts in a store cost twice as much. Not exaggerating, twice as much as they cost online. So we have to wait for the parts to come in, which they'll come in midweek. But in the meantime, all of that was to say, today's gonna look a little different because I don't have a car. I am going to try to get some of this work done and then probably blow dry my hair because as you can see, it is starting to dry on its own and I have curly hair. Let's work. Okay, the eclipse was pretty cool. It got pretty dark out here. Not like nighttime, but it was pretty cool. I have a friend that was in the line of totality, so that was pretty, or path of totality. I was not a science and math girly. Wade is up from his nap. We are just playing outside for a little bit. We're gonna go for a walk here soon. Okay, we just got back from a walk, which I chose not to bring you on, and it was probably for the best because we ended up at a playground and I had to do the football hold on the toddler. It was not ideal. If you have the Dawn Powerwash stuff and you're sick of buying the replacements, you need about 4 tablespoons of Dawn dish soap. I like the blue one. About 2 teaspoons of rubbing alcohol. Fill the rest with water and it creates the same thing. I have been making my own for like 6 months now and it works exactly the same. I'm sorry, I think I said teaspoons, I mean tablespoons. You need 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol. I just eyeball it, honestly. And 4 tablespoons might be a bit much, but I don't really know how else to gauge it. You basically want half as much rubbing alcohol as you do soap, if that helps. And then the rest is filled with water. So if you can see that, I don't know if you can see the bottom. I really just coated the bottom of it. Pour in some rubbing alcohol. And I'm gonna fill the rest with water. Now I do warm water. I don't know if that matters or not, but in my head it does. And the trick is you wanna mix it up because when I first made it, I sprayed it and I was like, it's just spraying soap. Well, yeah, of course it's just spraying soap. It was grabbing from the bottom, which is where all the soap was. So mix it up and I'll actually show you how it works on my bowl from lunch, which has cheese and stuff on it. If you don't use this stuff, this is not sponsored. obviously, because I'm telling you a hack to how to like circumvent it, you absolutely need to start using it. My favorite way to describe how it works is if you've ever made like any type of casserole or ground beef or ground sausage or anything in a stainless steel pan and then had to scrub your life away trying to get that pot or pan clean. This makes it where like you spray it, I don't even have to wipe it out, I just spray it out. It's insane. The exact same consistency. You're welcome. Probably not the content you're here for, but it's the content you're getting because this is who I am as a person. I'm gonna be real honest. I kind of feel like today in general has been kind of like, it has not gone well. Today has not been a great day. So I might have to carry this vlog into tomorrow so I actually have some like decent content to share with you guys, because I'm not gonna lie, all I wanna do right now is take a shower, eat like a sandwich for dinner, and go right in bed. Which doesn't make for awesome content, but anyway. Packed up and went to my mom's house. She is not home, but Wade woke up asking to play with his trains. So we're at mom's and I'm gonna sit here and work for a little bit and then, oh no, this one's not working anymore. I'm gonna get some work done while he plays for a little bit and then we're gonna walk over to the playground. I borrowed my husband's car for the day because honestly, I'm curious if other toddler parents feel this way, but I find the day to be easier to digest if we are not always in the house. And I know there are probably some toddler parents that feel the exact opposite, that like being home is the easiest thing. And I don't know if I feel this way because I have dogs, but it's just, it makes it tricky to be home all day. Like I feel like Wade gets stir crazy, I get stir crazy. And I also feel like when I'm at home, I have this overwhelming sensation to like do all of the things. Like I don't just feel the need to work, I feel the need to be able to like do chores and all that kind of stuff and entertain Wade. Whereas when we're out of the house, he gets at least some external stimulation. Why was that so hard for me to say? Because it's new and different toys that he doesn't have all the time. And then it also just eats up some time, like us being in the car even eats up some time. Just a change of scenery for right now. I'm gonna very quickly throw some chicken in the Instant Pot so I can get it shredded, because I'm gonna make a casserole for dinner tonight. And it's not a real casserole. I actually think it's a casserole I made up, which I feel like I was gonna say, I was just about to say I don't think I've ever done this before, but that's actually not true, because I do have a tendency to kind of like take a recipe that inspires something else and then turn it into something completely different. So I saw a recipe on Pinterest. I think it was for like mushroom chicken or something like that. And I decided to turn it into a casserole because at the time I had an infant who loved a casserole. And that's honestly how I fed my kid from like 6 months until he was a year old, is casseroles. But it actually turned into one of my favorite comfort foods, and it's very rainy outside. It's not cold, but it's not warm. So I thought a casserole would be good. So I'm gonna get some chicken going in the Instant Pot so I can get it shredded, and then I'll bring you along with me when I actually assemble the casserole later, but that's obviously not gonna be right now. I'm just gonna put some chicken in here first. I'm gonna do a small thing of chicken, which is kind of the great thing about a casserole, is you don't need a lot of it. And if you're wondering, when I buy chicken from the grocery store, or really any meat that I'm not planning to use right away, I learned this from my mom. If you don't know, we lived with my mom for a year and a half. almost 2 years, a year and a half, something like that, back in 2019, 2020. And something I did, also side note, it's 2:12 at the moment. I'll come back around to that in a second, but I just happened to look at the clock. I'll come around to that in a minute. But something that I did when I was living with my mother that drove her absolutely bonkers is, even though we were living together, I was trying to like hold on to a few things that made me feel like an adult married woman. And one of those things was that I still wanted to maintain like meal planning and like buying my groceries and cooking. Whether she joined us or not, I didn't really care, but I wanted to like maintain that. Hold please. I would go to the grocery store, especially during COVID times when like you were buying things that you could find when you could find them, even if you didn't have a purpose for them right away. And I would take the meat right from the grocery store and throw it in the freezer. And then to defrost it, it's in that like styrofoam tray thing. And then a lot of times it has that like, I don't know what, I guess it's like the juice absorber, which sounds disgusting. Anyway, defrosting meat in the like styrofoam tray is not ideal. I get that. I know that, but yet I still did it. And my mom basically trained that out of me when I was living with her. And so I take it and I section it out into like different portion sizes if I have an idea in mind of like what I'm going to be using it for. For instance, I knew this would be for like a casserole when I sectioned it out, because I think there's like 2, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 chicken breasts in here. That way you just take it out, dump it in. That's your lesson of the day. You didn't ask for that. You probably already know that, and that's fine. Anyway, I'm gonna put a cup of water in here and start the Instant Pot so I can get some shredded chicken. I like to talk, okay? Well, that's not what you want. What's going on? Oh, haha. I didn't realize that could unplug. That just scared me for a second. My Instant Pot didn't seem to be working, but the back had unplugged somehow. I don't know how much time I'm gonna have because I had a lot of trouble getting weighed down for a nap. And so it's about the time he would ordinarily wake up, but he went down like an hour later than normal. But while I have at least what I think is a few minutes, I'm gonna try to do my nails really quickly and talk about what I wanted to talk about yesterday, which I did talk about, but it was in slow motion. So what I mentioned yesterday is, so I don't know, well, I was gonna say, I don't know that I necessarily believe in like synchronicities and angel numbers and all that kind of stuff, but actually I do. I at least believe in like signs from whatever higher power you believe in. I believe in God. I also believe that God is the universe. I think those two things are the same. I get it if that does not sit well with everybody. I get that. I completely understand. But that's just kind of where my brain is. So if you don't feel the same as me, that is completely fine. I don't judge you. I would actually love to hear what you believe in, because I think that's the beauty in life, is getting to share that with people. I've been seeing the number 12 a lot. And the last time this happened was in that time that I just mentioned when we were living at my mom's in 2019. If you haven't watched the video where I talk about becoming the main character in your own life, I mentioned in that video, or actually told the story in that video, about being in a really, really dark place. And the whole process of us moving to my mom's house was for a reason. And then within a few months, our entire lives imploded. Everything we had planned, everything we thought we knew, just flipped on its ear. And I did not know how I was gonna come out of it, how we were gonna come out of it. I didn't know how we would get from where we were to where we wanted to go. And it was around the time that everything imploded that I started to see the number 12 everywhere. In fact, I will link a blog post down below where I share that I was starting to see these 12s, and I had like I got into the point where like I was taking screenshots every time I was seeing it on my phone. I was seeing it everywhere, not just on my phone. I was seeing it everywhere. Every time I looked down at the clock, it was an increment of 12. It would be in like the ETA of like my GPS. It would come up as the total everywhere I was shopping. It was wild. I was seeing them everywhere. And for my family, the number 12 has always been a special or important number. I never saw it or thought of it as like an angel number. I just thought of it as like, oh, it's our family's special number, whatever. So at that time, I never looked into what the angel number 12 meant. And looking back at it now, because now I'm seeing it again everywhere. I started seeing it, I want to say that I started seeing it like in fall of 2023. So what is that sound? Oh, the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot is coming to pressure. That's what that sound is. Anyway, I started to see it in about the fall of 2023. And at that time, I also started to see 111 or 1111. I started to see 1234. I started to see 222, 333, 444, 555. Pretty much any of those synchronicities I was starting to see. A friend of mine was like, you should look into like what these numbers mean. And I was like, what do you mean? And that's when she explained to me what an angel number was. So I immediately looked up angel number 12, and it has a lot about like new beginnings, but what it heavily focuses on is letting go of the past and looking to the future. And at the time in 2019 to 2020, if you haven't watched that video, basically in order for us to get from where we were to where we are now, I had to completely change my career. I had to change my life. And not I had to, I guess I didn't really feel like I had to, but the path that it took me on was that, right? Everything completely changed. I had to let go of what I had once wanted in exchange for something I ended up wanting more than I could have ever imagined wanting something. It was not something that was on my radar at the time. And when I tell you that my entire life changed, we went from living in my mother's house, wondering if we would ever get to own a house, wondering if Jonathan would ever get to be a football coach again, wondering at that time, it wasn't even a wonder, it was like, we'll never get to have a family. These are things that like, that was our reality in 2019 to 2021, living in and renovating the house that we owned and welcoming our son. So yeah, our lives completely changed. And looking back on it now, knowing what that angel number means made a lot of sense to me. And now that I'm seeing the number 12 everywhere, I was having a harder time kind of understanding why it would be telling me I needed to let go of something until something came up in a journaling session where I realized, so if you don't know anything about my situation, I lost my job in the early spring last year. Very suddenly, I was laid off, and I had been working a very traditional job since 2020, where I kind of went down a path that I never expected to go down because I was a creative entrepreneur before that. So going into like the traditional workforce was not really on my bingo card. But once I was there, having done entrepreneurship for so long, being in the traditional workforce felt really good. It felt relieving. It was nice to have something stable. Didn't matter how well my business was doing. And still now, like, it doesn't really ever matter how well things are going. In your mind, you could always be growing, changing, learning, evolving, scaling, whatever. And I liked going to a job, doing my job, connecting with people, which was something that I hadn't really gotten to do a lot of in my entrepreneurship journey, aside from like online, but like this was working with people in real life. And having gone from doing it before to doing the traditional thing felt good because it was stable and I knew exactly how much money I was making. And to be fair, that is a trade-off then, that like in the entrepreneur world, your cap, it does not exist. Like your earning capacity is the moon and beyond. You can make as much money as you can possibly imagine making. Whereas with obviously a stable traditional job, you know what your salary is. That salary is all you're going to make unless you get a bonus or you have a side gig or whatever. So there's trade-offs, but I really leaned into the comfort of that. I know, and let me put a little asterisk here, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being in the traditional workforce, and there's nothing wrong at all with being someone who wants to go to work their job, and come home and live their life, okay? I want to make that extremely clear. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Not everyone is meant to be creative. Not everyone is meant to own a business. Not everyone is meant to like pursue a pathway. I think everyone has a purpose and it's different. Not everyone is meant to be creative. So I want to make sure I put that asterisk there. I know I like the creative world. I've freelanced for years. I like it. It's scary, but I like it. And I know that I was meant to be put back on this path. I know that was on purpose. I believe that entirely. But what I haven't talked so much about is the loss of the traditional job and how that rocked me. Because as exciting as all of this is, I had to kind of grieve the loss of that stable reality. And because of the way my job exited my life, it wasn't like I sat down with my husband and we were like, okay, so you're gonna work until this date, gonna save this much money, and then you're gonna jump back into a creative environment, right? There was a lot of time in the last few months where I have felt kind of resentful of not really having had the choice. I'm just here all of a sudden. And I realize that doesn't sound great. These are really big changes, and a lot of them are really good and exciting changes, but there's something to be said for feeling like you've had some type of say in the matter. I kind of just got thrusted here, and I'm trying to make the most of it, and I think that I am. There is still a part of me that is sad to have lost the stability of a full-time job that is in the traditional workforce. I am sad to have not really have had the opportunity to come up with a plan to best support this season of my life, being this hybrid employee and a full-time stay-at-home mom. And so I'm just kind of having to figure it out as I go. And so some days are harder than others. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that like, I didn't really understand why the 12s were showing up now. And I had a bit of a perspective shift in the last couple of weeks because I don't know, just journaling and really meditating and thinking, it just kind of became clear that like, if I had been given the power to choose this, I wouldn't have chosen it. I would have been scared. I wouldn't have been brave enough to choose this. It is not lost on me. I have the opportunity to spend really amazing time with my kiddo that if I was working any other job, if I were in any other situation, I would not have. And so basically, part-time job that I have is asynchronous. I think I've mentioned that before. I mean, I have meetings occasionally and things like that, but like they don't really care when the work gets done as long as the work is getting done. And I couldn't have handpicked a better part-time job for that. And that offers stability, right? It offers the baseline of stability. And then I also have my creative stuff, the book writing, marketing, TikTok, YouTube, blog, all that kind of stuff. Blog is pretty much my primary one, but that's up to me. My freelancing, all of those things are completely up to me. My schedule is up to me, and I have the choice to get up early, which I do, get most of my day job work done before my kid's ever even awake. And so when my kid is awake, it's up to me how I spend that time with him, and that was such a gift. But you have to remember, I was in survival mode. Like I was just in survival mode, and you have like, we're humans and sometimes our heads get stuck in the sand. Like I'm a very happy person. I'm not an angry person. I've never been an angry person. And I would say for like the last 6 months, I've been a very angry person, frustrated, full of resentment. That's not me. It's not who I am. And I actually think part of what shifted that for me was starting to vlog. And I know that sounds crazy, but starting to vlog and dipping my toe into this community, and whether it's consuming content of other people who are like me or connecting with those of you that I've connected with, which thank God for you guys, but it's just opening that line of communication because this is very isolating too. It's very, very isolating. And I think having the opportunity to vlog helps me kind of like think about the day or like, what are we gonna get up to? And it's ignited like a different type of excitement that like, I don't know, like I hadn't considered before. And so I've been seeing number 12. It's about letting go. I think I needed to let go of the idea of what I thought this season of my life was gonna look like and let go of the resentment that it's gone. Like the traditional season of my life is over, and really embrace this new beginning and look to the future of like how beautiful this really could be. If you're wondering, I'm painting my nails white. The other angel number I've been seeing is 34. I started to see it really consistently about 3 months ago, and that angel number, it says things that you should know about the angel number 34. Angel number 34 symbolizes new beginnings. It's a sign that you have the skills and creativity to positively affect your future. It also then goes on to talk about something with romantic love, but I've been married for almost 14 years. I don't think that's about me. And then it also says that angel number 34 is also good luck for your career. It's a sign that your hard work and dedication will soon pay off. And obviously I've been doing this consistently. I've been doing it for 6 months. The blog, obviously I just restarted, but because I had the platform before, that's already lucrative. And not that I'm only doing this for money, I'm not, I would do this for free. But obviously part of this endeavor is also to help support my writing career and my family and this new path that I'm on. So it's just kind of reassuring to see that. So I don't know if you believe in angel numbers at all, or if you've even like taken notice of the numbers that you're seeing everywhere, because it just was not on my radar before. So I appreciate my friend bringing that up to me. All of that to say, the realization that I had yesterday was the fact that like I needed to let go of the resentment of being out of the traditional workforce, because what you might not know is even though everything went really down like a new path last year, and obviously it's the path I've always wanted to be on in my entire life. Like I've only ever wanted to be a writer, like a I wanted to write. If you asked me when I was like 5 years old what I wanted to do, I would have told you I wanted to write books. I've known that my whole life. And that happened. Like, I wrote the book. It became very successful last year. I got to release the second book. I'm now writing a third book. I'm on that path. That's everything I've ever wanted in my entire life. However, I'm still the breadwinner of my family. And there's a pressure to like get back into something stable, because as lucrative as this can be, it can also be very unstable. And I'm realizing now as I'm saying that that's ridiculous, because I'm in this situation because I lost the stable thing at no control of my own. So that was just sort of a sobering thought, which I've had in different ways before, but actually just saying it in that way just made me realize that like I need to just eradicate. If you can't hear, my kid is waking up in the background, which means I only got one hand painted. But I want to quickly say that like being here and connecting with all of you, people who are like me, there's something that we have that's in common. I appreciate you being here. I need this more than I realized I did, because I didn't realize how healing this journey has been for me and is being for me. I just wanted to have that conversation because I'd had it yesterday and it was really clear yesterday. It all happened in like real time, but still some revelations that came from this one. If you cannot hear, my son has woken up from his nap screaming at the top of his lungs, playground. So I don't know who's gonna tell him that it's pouring down rain outside. Not it. Okay, I'm making the rice first. I'm just putting a cup of chicken broth in my Dutch oven, letting that boil, and then I will add a cup of rice. Okay, while the rice is getting tender, I'm gonna mix together probably about maybe 8 ounces of sour cream. I'm gonna mix that, add a 1/4 cup of milk, a can of cream of mushroom soup, Italian seasoning. I'm gonna cut up some mushrooms. I have canned mushrooms. You can saute real mushrooms. You could just cut up fresh mushrooms, put them in the casserole, and they'll cook up while they're cooking in the casserole. Again, there aren't any real rules here because this isn't a real recipe. Okay. Or are you saying you wanna go see Dad at football? Yeah. Okay, we'll do that in just a few minutes because we have to go pick Daddy up from work. I don't remember if I used to do this or not, but I'm gonna mix in a little bit of mozzarella cheese and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Away from the stove. And the last thing I do is I take the herb seasoned classic stuffing. So I crush it all up and then I add it in a layer on the top. So I'm just gonna stick this in the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna set the oven on bake at 350, delay until 5 o'clock, delay time, start, cook time for 30 minutes. Okay, I did it. I don't ever really know how to use my delay time. I just always have to hope that it will work, but it's set to 5 o'clock now. So that tells me that my oven's gonna go off at 5 o'clock. It's gonna cook for 30 minutes. Okay, I just decided to pull this out of the oven. I've obviously taken a shower and all that, but it looks like this. The stuffing on top does not usually look that browned. I might have left it in there a little longer than you're supposed to, but that's okay. Nobody cares. Okay, I'm gonna eat this and then honestly, I'm gonna relax for the rest of the evening. I am very tired. Appreciate you guys being here. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I post new videos on Mondays and Thursdays, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye.